that he wants Canada, our neighbor in the north, to become a 51st state of the United States.
Yeah,
he
boy.
hasn't said that, though, in a while. Do you still worry about his rhetoric on that front?
United States Republicans are not happy with Canadian officials, and then some liberal Canadians are rushing to America to stick their elbows up and beg the American population to put pressure on President Trump because tariffs are hurting Americans and Canadians. It's just like a weird thing. Like, hey guys, we know that you're punching us, but your fist must hurt from punching us so much, and we would hate for you to break your knuckle, so you should stop punching us. That's kind of the situation. And then Trump is, for the first time since I think 2018 or in a very long time, having Putin come to America in Alaska, which is very close to Canada, and Canada's role in that is going to be nothing because Canada doesn't even have floating boats or planes that fly properly to, you know, go and monitor the situation. Not that we would do anything anyways, but yeah, there's a lot to take a look at in this video, and surprisingly, or not surprisingly, none of it is actually good for Canada. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do really want to encourage y'all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. I don't say it to be annoying. I promise you. I know a lot of people are subscribed and they do like it and like, come on, bro, like move on. But like 60 or 70% of you are not subscribed. So just do it. Shut me up. And then I won't ever say it again. Let's get into this video. Shall we? Starting off with what's going on in America. So South Park is making its rounds, and it is making a lot of memes about American officials, specifically Republicans like Trump, JD Vance, and now ICE. And the proper thing to do about it is lean into the meme. If you fight the meme, you look like just a boomer with no sense of humor. And Republicans are not doing that. They are actually leaning into the meme, and they look funny. And it just kind of blows over in the news cycle. So here you go. You've got this new South Park episode that someone's commenting on it saying, love this. She and JD Vance are leaning right into the memes from South Park. This is the way. She's even using it as her new avatar photo. This is the Secretary Kristi Noem, the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And apparently there's like a new meme that's of her, and she's now using that as an avatar, or at least did for a while. Elon Musk is laughing with a fire emoji, and that's just kind of how South Park works. Even if they make fun of you, you just lean into it and you go, ah, yeah, okay, is what it is. But now in more serious news, we got to take a look at what's going on with Trump and Russia, because the world could end August 15th, or the world could be solved with peace negotiations on August 15th. Trump says he will meet with Putin August 15th in Alaska. Holy freaking smokes. The highly anticipated meeting between myself and President of the United States of America, President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, will take place next Friday, August 15th, 2025, in the great state of Alaska. Further details to follow. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Trump said Friday that he will meet with Putin very shortly to discuss ending the war in Ukraine, a major potential milestone, after expressing weeks of frustration that more was not being done to quell the fighting. And it's actually happening. Holy frickin' smokes. Ukrainian troops are apparently saying they are ready to keep fighting. Putin makes a flurry of phone calls. Analysts say Putin is aiming to outlast the West, which I don't personally think is actually going to happen. I think the West can outlast Russia and any other country almost collectively put together. Yeah, that's just kind of the power of America right now. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments about this. I think that this is phenomenal. I think this is going to be groundbreaking, and hopefully it leads to proper peace negotiations. It's almost like having a long distance relationship with like a friend. When it's long distance, you're just like, yeah, whatever, maybe I will answer a text now, maybe I won't. But when it's in person, it's like, oh yeah, no, for sure, we're buddies, and like it's just more personable. And that's kind of what's going to happen with America and Russia, hopefully very soon, upcoming in like 6 days or something like that. So let's watch a little bit more in-depth video into the matter.
Donald Trump has announced he will meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin on U.S. soil. The summit will take place next Friday in Alaska. It comes after a deadline for Putin to agree to a Ukraine ceasefire passed without any movement. CBC's Karen Pauls joins us now from Washington. Karen, what's the latest on this?
You know, Sarah, today was supposed to be the day Russia should have stopped the fighting or face tough new economic sanctions. Instead, U.S. President Donald Trump has handed Moscow a bit of a diplomatic win. He's agreed to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin next Friday in Alaska. The speed and the location of the summit is really surprising a lot of people. But meanwhile, fighting continues on key front lines. And at an event this afternoon, Trump said something that got everyone's attention. Take a listen to this clip.
Well, you're looking at territory that's been fought over for 3.5 years with, a lot of Russians have died, a lot of Ukrainians have died. So we're looking at that, but we're actually looking to get some back and some swapping. It's complicated. It's actually nothing easy. It's very complicated, but we're going to get some back. We're going to get some switched. There'll be some swapping of territories to the betterment of both. But we'll be talking about that either later or tomorrow or whatever.
So he's actually doing it. He's actually moving one step closer to finding this peace negotiations. And it's probably going to be something that pisses off both sides equally. Ukraine and Russia going, well, we're not exactly fully happy with this outcome, but as long as both sides are equally just as frustrated about the outcome, then maybe that's just enough to make it finally happen. Or the cherry on top is giving both sides exactly what they want. But when it comes to war and conflict at this scale, that's very unlikely. But if anyone can do it, it really seems like Trump is actually making it happen, and it's going to be within the next couple of weeks, it seems. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. This is just one step forward in the right direction towards global peace and actually getting back on track to hopefully, cool technological advancements and space exploration or whatever the hell us human race wants to do other than nuke each other. I mean, that's a pretty good thing. And now we got to take a look at what's going on with the fact that United States Republicans are pissed off with Canada. They're calling on Canada to axe its online streaming act. The lawmakers want Canada to pull yet another digital policy amid trade negotiations. A group of Republicans, members of U.S. Congress, say that Canada's policy requiring foreign streaming services to contribute 5% of their revenues to funding Canadian content is discriminatory and should be rescinded amid trade negotiations. That's so funny because discriminatory against saying that Canada is being discriminatory, that's just funny because Canada's identity has become this Karen world of overly progressive policies where we can't discriminate because you can't even misgender somebody by accident and without the fear of a bajillion-dollar fine or going to jail. It's crazy what's going on in Canada. So for the United States to say that Canada's discriminating against America, it's aha, what goes around kind of comes around. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's a lot funnier to me, but I think it's fucking hilarious. The 18 Republicans penned a letter to the United States Trade Representative, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, calling Canada's Online Streaming Act discriminatory against American companies. I don't know why I'm stuck on that, but that is so funny. They argue that American streaming services are important contributors to the U.S. economy, and the Canadian Radio, Television, and Communications Commission, the CRTC, decision to force foreign services to contribute 5% of the revenues to the government benefiting the creation of Canadian content is harmful to cross-border digital trade. Canada is in this weird predicament where we are in the middle of the biggest trade negotiations of our entire lives, and we're doing all of the wrong things. Hey, you know what? Why don't we just give you guys the finger while we try to get a better deal with you guys? That's Canada's approach. It's weird. It's very weird. It's like pissing off your waiters before you get your food, completely negating the fact that they just might dip their nuts in your food and then serve it to you. Like, not that that's a thing that people have to worry about when they go out and eat. Like, I'm sure most of the restaurant industry is very professional, but I'm like, why would you do that? Why is Canada doing any of what it's doing right now? The letter states that in a 2023 on-demand video revenue contributed $70 billion to the U.S. American economy, in addition to the $14.3 billion from music streaming. In late June, the Canadian government announced it would rescind its digital service taxes days after President Trump demanded it gone and briefly cut off trade negotiations. Though the negotiations resumed, they failed to meet Trump's self-imposed August 1st deadline, and Canadian trade representatives have displayed less optimism since the president slapped a 35% tariffs on goods that are non-compliant with CUSMA, which, I mean, CUSMA is like 93% of our trade, so the 35% tariffs is on the remainder 6 or 7%, and it's not a whole lot, but it definitely does add up when you're talking about these, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars of trade that we have with America. Prime Minister Carney also received criticism for bending to U.S. wishes, despite promising a strong approach to facing Trump during the election campaign. And I mean, yeah, I think that he's not bending to Trump's wishes enough. And if I had it my way, I would have joint military bases for Canada and America on Canadian soil. Our West Coast, our East Coast, and up north. Canada can't even defend itself, right? And this is just like one of my many probably kooky ideas, but Canada, even when there was a plane hijacking in Vancouver at the airport, our fighter jets in Cold Lake, Alberta, in northern Alberta, didn't have the right fuel or fueling up system in place to fly from Alberta down to Vancouver and then back up to Alberta, so they couldn't go. Instead, American fighter jets came above the border, kind of monitor the situation from up in the air. Turns out that there wasn't a need for fighter jets, and so then they went home. All of that happened like instantly. And do you think America had to go through like this proper chain of command to fly into Canadian airspace? Oh, please, Mr. Carney, let us in so that we can help you. Or do you think America just said, that's a major airport that actually has a lot of American, you know, money going through? Yeah, we're just going to go and do it right now anyways. And so Canada's ability to respond on a freaking, like on a dime, it's just non-existent. It's not minimal, it's non-existent. So having joint military bases on the left coast, the right coast, up north, where there's like a little section where Americans can have some troops, some gear, their own office for their own intelligence, like, you know, behind a lock and key so that they can do their thing, we can do our thing, and then it can be joint. That's like a phenomenal idea and a step in the right direction. And President Trump, I believe he's already indicated that he would like things to go in that direction. That's just one of the approaches I think Canada should be having. And anyone who would argue against that, it's like, why? We can't even do anything anyways. So why wouldn't we invite our neighbor or give our neighbor the key to our door to help with stuff? Like, it's freaking bizarre, man. Freaking bizarre. But let's take a look now at this bit of an older clip of the White House basically saying Canada caved.
It's very simple. Prime Minister Carney in Canada caved to President Trump in the United States of America. And President Trump knows how to negotiate, and he knows that he is governing the best country and the best economy in this world, on this planet. And every country on the planet needs to have good trade relationships with the United States. And it was a mistake for Canada to vow to implement that tax. That would have hurt our tech companies here in the United States. The president made his position quite clear to the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister called the President last night to let the President know that he would be dropping that tax, which is a big victory for our tech companies and our American workers.
Man, I just wish one day Canada can get a proper piece of the pie or be a little bit more embedded with the American economy. Of course, I've just given my military, kind of idea of what I would like to see. of course, it can evolve and compound off of that. But there's also even something as simple as our phone service providers, right? Bringing American companies into Canada to expand the market, make it more competitive, drop prices down. It's literally just a win-win. And a whole other video that I probably should make is what it would look like for Canada to get off of the monarchy, get off of the kings and queens, and get on to kind of a more republic system like what America is. And I think a lot of people would rather, like, what is our allegiance to the kings and queens right now? Like, what are we actually doing other than printing their money and glorifying a system that none of us even really care about day to day? Or if we sit down and think about it, why? Like, what are we thinking about? Like, who cares about the royals right now? Yeah. Anyways, Canada needs to freaking change. And Canada is changing. We've got the fat pig with rabies who goes on, the guy on the right, Doug Ford. He is what's supposed to be a conservative in Canada. He's the premier of Ontario as the Progressive Conservative Party. He's the freaking premier, runs the whole province, and he runs consistently to radical fake news CNN to beg America, please guys, stop punching us. Your knuckles are hurting and we would hate for your hand to get inflamed from all of the punching of us that you are doing. It's a weird tactic and we're going to make fun of it.
You know, President Trump negotiated the agreement with Canada and Mexico during his first term to replace NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. You say, and now he could suddenly, all of a sudden, open up the USMCA. What makes you think that?
Well, first of all, I start off every interview with saying how much we love Americans, how much we love the U.S. And as I've said on this show.
Okay. This guy right here, about 4 months ago, was threatening. He was foaming at the mouth like a dog with rabies, or a pig, a large engorged pig with rabies. One could even argue a fat pig with rabies. He was foaming at the mouth going, we're going to cut the power off to 1.4 million homes in America so that America can feel the wrath of Canada. Yeah, like he's on the record acting that insane. And now goes on fake news CNN to say, listen, pal, I love America and Americans. 3-4 months ago, you were threatening Americans. As a retaliatory response, yes, but still, I mean, what the fuck are you talking about, man? I'm sorry for swearing. I've seen in the comments, people like, stop swearing, please, please, please. I'm trying to be a better person. I'm trying to stop swearing. But I can't help myself when it comes to this guy. He's just such a weirdo.
Many times that a tariff on Canada is a tax on the American people. And as you've seen, the study from Yale, it's going to cost Americans $2,400. Manufacturing employment in the U.S., there's over 37,000 people since April have lost their jobs. It's the lowest rate in 5 years, and it's just not working. Let's create the AmCan Fortress. 2 strongest countries in the world. Again, this is hurting the American people as the rest of the countries, including Canada, is diversifying our trade. We're seeing a 25% increase in trade with the European Union. The UK is up by 30%. So as we're diversifying and onshoring products, the American people are losing their jobs.
What would the impact be for Canada and for the U.S. if President Trump pulled out of that agreement?
Well, it would be unfortunate. We directly employ, just Ontario alone, 9 million Americans, and across the entire country of Canada is probably closer to 20 million Americans rely on Canada for jobs, and vice versa. We rely on jobs with trade with the U.S., but it's just hurting both countries. And as we're diversifying and the rest of the world's diversifying, onshoring products that are typically made in the U.S., no matter if it's aluminum cans or tins or steel beams, we're onshoring everything. We're very, very concerned with the actions of the Trump administration. And, you know, President Trump and Secretary Lutnick, they're smart guys. Like, they understand numbers. And when you see 37,000 Americans have lost their jobs, that can't pay the rent or can't pay a mortgage, put food on their table. And this is just going to grow even more. $6.2 billion in tariff-related costs to the auto sector, and that's going to increase. So the auto workers are going to be losing their jobs.
So how is Canada, Premier Ford, preparing for that possibility now? Have you warned your Prime Minister, Mark Carney, that Canada needs to take action?
Absolutely, and we're doing it as we speak right now. We're onshoring manufacturing jobs that typically are American jobs. We have a market here that we can sustain it, and we're lowering taxes. We're making sure we're competitive for companies to come and invest in Canada. Ontario alone last year attracted over $40 billion of investment, creating more jobs, more opportunities. I would much rather, work with our greatest ally and closest friend and increase jobs in both countries, and we can do that. We'd be the two strongest nations in the world economically. That's our goal, but unfortunately, President Trump doesn't want to go down that avenue. He wants to hurt the American people, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Do you know when Prime Minister Carney of Canada is next scheduled to speak with President Trump?
I'd imagine over the next few days, Wolf, but we're going to continue the dialogue and communication to the best of our ability.
It's strange to me. Trump has repeatedly said over these past several months that he wants Canada, our neighbor in the north, to become a 51st state of the United States.
Yeah,
he
boy.
hasn't said that, though, in a while. Do you still worry about his rhetoric on that front?
No, I'm not worried about that because that's never going to happen. We'll be your closest ally and closest friend forever, as we have been for 200 years. And we will outlast the Trump administration, and we'll continue working with our great American partners.
I think it was Canada's 150th, 10 years ago or 7 years ago or something like that. So 200 years. I don't think Canada's been a country for that long. But yeah, the point being that he doesn't think Canada will ever become the 51st state. And to that, I say, why not? Why not become the 51st state? Or it doesn't even have to go to that extent. A proper economic merger between Canada and America, having more American competition in Canada and having Canadian companies, more so Canadian companies, exist in America so that we can just hold hands and be the world's together superpower. I know Americans might be thinking we don't need you, but Canada has so much land and 40 million people living here. There is something that Canada can bring to the table and a shit ton of resources. When you're taking a look at global threats, like what's about to happen on Friday, where Putin and his probably big part of the military is going to be surrounding the area. It's going to be a whole freaking, snow off, right? Face off, but snow because it's so cool. Anyways, a stupid joke. I think that there's other threats out there that are way bigger and way more credible than the threat between Canada and America. If we work together, we would be undefeatable to any threat ever for the rest of infinity until the world just kind of blew up or the sun engulfed us or whatever the hell happens. That's kind of why people are pro, if I'm not mistaken, 51st state is the merger that would happen, the military might, the economic growth would be literally unstoppable. China, which is a bit of a threat right now with their growing economy, even though they're crazy in debt and all that stuff, it wouldn't even be comparable if Canada and America had a better merger. I'm not talking a good trade deal of Kuzma. I'm talking a proper economic merger. That's what a lot of people want. A lot of people who are thinking way ahead in the future. What's life going to look like for future generations in 50 or 100 years with these ongoing threats of China always surrounding Taiwan and Russia growing their military might and their nuclear warheads and North Korea getting antsy, wanting some sort of global relevance. There's a lot of other threats out there. Canada and America working together, that's totally unfreaking beatable. And people like this guy, the fat pig with rabies, just don't seem to get it. It's almost like they want to see people continue to suffer. And I'm tired of the cost of living. I'm so exhausted of all of this shit. Like, aren't you? Don't you just want to not worry about money? Go back to a time where like, you just never really cared about money, didn't monitor it as much as you do now, weren't so afraid of like global tensions. Like, just shit is getting so serious so quickly, and it seems like it's forever lasting. So that's why a lot of people are gravitating towards even Alberta independence. Change, drastic change that's better for the people. Anyways, I'd love to know where you guys stand on this. I've been pretty clear where I stand, but I'd love to know the viewers where you guys are. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet already, I'd like to encourage you guys to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in another video. Bye for now.